Hello, welcome to the Running Start information session. My name is Kendall White, and I am currently one of the advisors for the Running Start department. We are so excited to hear that you're interested in the Running Start program. We want to start off by pointing out that we are on social media, so feel free to follow us on Instagram or like us on Facebook to get a sneak peek into the Running Start office and to stay up to date on the latest information and important reminders. I will be presenting with my colleague, Kyle, another advisor within the Running Start department. Let's go ahead and get started. To give you an overview of our agenda today, we'll be covering the following information: Running Start basics, benefits and considerations, academic performance and resources, what makes a Running Start student successful, cost of attendance, and eligibility requirements, and how to get started. Let's go ahead and discuss what Running Start is. Running Start is a learning by choice legislation that was passed in 1990. This legislation allows students to attend any of the 34 community and technical colleges in the state to challenge themselves academically by taking rigorous college courses. Running Start is known as a dual credit program, which means that a student may take English 101 here to satisfy both a college degree requirement and their high school graduation requirement, thus learning dual credit for the high school and the college. While students can attend any of the 34 technical or community colleges, here's a few reasons why we recommend Green River. The first is that we have a dedicated Running Start team. Many other colleges either co-advise Running Start students or are co-located within the General Advising Center. However, here at Green River, we have our own office, our own dedicated staff, and we are here to focus strictly on Running Start students. We also offer personal advising. Once students are enrolled into our program, they have the opportunity to create a long-term educational planning appointment with their advisor. With careful planning on both the student and advisor's end, many students are able to leave the appointment with an idea of what classes they need for high school, for their degree, and for their prereqs to their major. Students are required to be actively involved in the planning process, as college advisors do not know which specific high school graduation requirements each student has. We also offer transfer and career training degrees and certificates. One of our most common transfer degrees that students may pursue if they plan to go on to a four-year university is the Associate in Art, which is known as a general degree. It is a great degree for students who want to explore during their time at Green River. We also have an Associate's in Business, an Associate in Pre-Nursing, Associate in Computer Science, and many more. We also offer training degrees and certifications that allow students to go straight into the workforce, such as welding, carpentry, automotive, aviation, business management, and others. Green River College also has study abroad opportunities that Running Starts are eligible for. We've had students travel all across the world. Our college and our office are also committed to diversity and equity and providing a safe space for our students. We want students to know that if they have any questions or concerns, they should definitely check in with our office, and we will do our best to assist them or get them connected with someone who can. Lastly, student leadership opportunities. Most students participating in Running Start likely plan to transfer to a four-year university, and extracurricular activities, leadership roles are a great plus to your application. In the past, we had a student who was in a paid position as a vice president of Green River College Government Club. We've also had Running Start students create their own clubs. As with most things, there are benefits and considerations to the Running Start program. We'll start off by talking about the benefits. The first benefit is that students are able to enroll in up to 15 college tuition funded credits, which is based on their high school enrollment. 15 credits, which is typically 3 5-credit classes, is what we consider full-time. For most schools and school districts, students can be enrolled in one class at the high school, but still take 15 credits at the college. However, if a student is enrolled at 2 classes at the high school, then their enrollment at the college decreases. Typically, when a student is in 2 classes at the high school, they can only take 2 classes at the college, which is equal to 10 credits. We also offer a wide variety of classes with flexible class schedules. In a regular learning environment, we offer in-person classes that are daily, Monday through Friday, 50 minutes a day. We also offer hybrid classes, which are half online and half in person, and we offer fully online classes. We offer classes as early as 7 a.m. to as late as 7 p.m. at our main Auburn campus, Kent campus, Enumclaw campus, and some at our Auburn downtown campus. As we all know, everything looks different in COVID, but there are still a variety of online and virtual class offerings during this time. And again, not only are students completing high school graduation requirements, they're also working towards a degree and can complete prerequisites for their intended major. We cannot guarantee that all of the students' credits will transfer to universities, so we encourage students to connect with admissions advisors at their intended colleges on questions regarding course transferability. Now we have considerations. We want to make sure that while Running Start is a great program, it is not a good fit for everyone. And no, we are not talking about students who do not have good grades. We have seen students who have struggled in high school come here and earn A's. We have also seen the opposite, students who have excelled at the high school, but weren't unable to handle the time management required for Running Start, and then they end up failing out of the program. Therefore, here are some of the factors we want students to consider. Courses are much more fast-paced. At the high school, students are used to learning over a year of time, from September to June. However, here at Green River, we use a quarterly system. We have 4 quarters: fall, which is about September through December, winter, which is January through March, and spring, which is April through June. We also have summer quarter, but this is not covered by the Running Start program. So what you would have learned at the high school in 9 months, you'll have to learn in about 10 weeks or 2.5 months. This is what we have heard students struggle with the most. College courses are taught with the perspective of an adult learning environment. Topics that parents or guardians may have opted out of at the high school level is not an option to opt out of here. Students may cover religious or political topics in their courses. Additionally, while we do have a lot of Running Start students here, Running Start students will have classes with folks who are their parents' age or even their grandparents' age. Courses will be taken with students from all backgrounds and walks of life. Now, this one is super important. High school and college schedules differ. And at Green River, we have a no-show replacement procedure, meaning if you're not in class on the first day, the instructor has the right to give up your seat to another student. This is important because a lot of times students' families will book vacations because their high school is out, but Green River is still in session. We want families to be able to book vacations. We think that is wonderful. However, if the student misses their first day of class, they will likely lose their seat. And if they miss more than that, the instructor may drop the student from the course, or the student may risk failing because, again, classes are much more fast-paced at the college, and missing a week of class at Green River is like missing a month when you're at the high school. Additionally, it is important to note we do not offer transportation or free and reduced meals through the Running Start program. And hopefully all of you, if not most of you, were aware that Running Start is not entirely free. While the costs are significantly reduced, there are still costs that must be paid quarterly. We will go over that more in depth later on in the presentation. Lastly, we have something called FERPA here, which is similar to HIPAA for medical, where once your child turns 18, they have to release their information to you. Except for us, it's not age binding. This law is called the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And the minute your student leaves their in-person orientation, they will be held to this law. However, please know that we do highly encourage students to fill out the FERPA release of information form during in-person orientation. We give them time to do so and hope that they turn it in. We strongly encourage parents to have an empowering discussion with their students, letting them know that you want to be able to support them in their educational journey. And students, if your parent is paying for your fees while you're here, you may want to consider turning in this release of information form. Otherwise, we can't even tell your parents how much money you owe. Now that we've explained considerations, we want to talk about what makes a successful college student. Once a student is in the process of enrolling, they will get the opportunity to create their Green River student email, and this will be their means of communication moving forward. We have over 2,000 Running Start students enrolled in our program. While we would love to be able to call every student, we cannot. But we do send out all of our important registration information, payment reminders, academic standards notices, campus closures, and much more through email. Many Running Start students would agree that as long as a student is checking their email twice a week, they will be able to stay on top of all this important information. Instructors will also communicate with you through your student email, so it is very important that you are connected with that. The next area we would like to discuss is attendance and preparedness. Given that the quarterly system is about 10 weeks, it's crucial that students not only attend their classes, but show up prepared. Even though there will be less work in the classroom, this means there will be more work outside of the classroom that is required. Students should be dedicated to having their readings or assigned work completed so that they can understand the classes and lectures for the week. It is also important for students to get to know their instructors and classmates. Instructors offer office hours where you can talk to them one-on-one, or you can also email them if you feel yourself feeling confused or lost. However, having a study buddy from your class or someone you can text or call when you need support is one of the most beneficial things that Running Start alumni have noted in the past. With over 2,000 Running Start students, you may not think you have a Running Start student in your class, but the numbers say otherwise, and the likelihood is probably that you do. Being proactive rather than reactive as a student is important. While we understand that the transition from high school to college may not be easy, it's also important to ask for help when you need help. We always tell students, help us, help you. If you come to us at the end of the quarter telling us you failed a class, there isn't much we can do to help you at that point. But if you reach out to us or an instructor earlier on, then we may be able to walk you through your options. Another key thing is utilizing campus resources, which can help any student be successful on the college campus. We offer the Public Speaking Center, Writing Center, Tutoring and Resource Center, Math Learning Center, Disability Support Services, Counseling Services, and others. Many students have confirmed that when they utilize the resources available to them, they felt a better transition from high school to college. Last, but definitely not least, is time management. As we mentioned earlier, courses are much more fast-paced at Green River. And for every credit hour a student spends in class, they need to spend at least 2 hours outside of class studying. Therefore, for every 5-credit course, it's about 10 hours of class time spent outside. A full-time student in 15 credits would need to spend about 30 hours studying outside of class. So if a student is working a part-time job, is still involved in extracurricular activities, and is full-time at Green River College, they need to be able to have realistic time management and plan ahead. Students are given much more freedom with their schedule, but if they do not manage their time, and since instructors are not checking in on them like they would at the high school, they often find themselves falling behind more quickly and may end up failing in their classes. Which brings us to our next slide, college versus the high school. Many students, especially when they realize their struggle during their first quarter, admit that they feel like there was a big transition period between high school and college. Institutional policies and procedures is where we'd like to start. All of the policies that apply to general students apply to Running Start students as well. Academic standards, codes of conduct, registration, dates and deadlines are the same for everyone, regardless of if they're Running Start or not. There are no exceptions. If a student's registration is slated to open on a certain date and time, the Running Start office does not have the ability to change that for them. If a student misses the last day to withdraw from a class and wants an exception, we are unable to do that. The no-show replacement procedure, which also applies to other students, including Running Start, is not something that we can make up for. Additionally, in regard to registration at the high school, students may be used to the high school counselor registering them for their courses. But here, students are responsible for adding courses, dropping courses, and managing their wait lists. As for dates and deadlines, there may have been more flexibility at the high school in missing classes for planned vacations or turning in assignments late. But at Green River, each individual instructor has their own policies and procedures around this. Long story short, late work and makeup tests usually are not offered. Instructors have the right to set up their course how they would like. This means that students may have a class where their grade is based upon just 3 tests. Other classes might have participation, tests, quizzes, and assignments. One of the main things we really like to emphasize is that instructors are not obligated to talk to parents. We've had a lot of students who not communicate with their instructors, and then mom or dad want to talk to the instructor because they have a release of information with the Running Start department, but this does not mean you can speak with the instructor. Ultimately, it's up to the instructor's discretion what information they do or do not want to share with you, which is why we strongly encourage that if students are feeling lost or disconnected, they connect with someone as soon as possible to communicate what they're struggling with. This brings us to our last point, communication. While we think Running Start is a great program, we also recognize it's not good for everyone. Students who join this program need to understand that while we will support them and understand that it's going to be a learning curve, we also expect students to recognize the difference in how they should behave. This is no longer the high school. Students will be expected to communicate with either us or their instructors if they have questions. Therefore, we won't be hand-holding. Help us help you. If you need help, it's much easier for you to manage yourself and reach out to us if you need help than for us to manage all 2,000 students. We are all here to help you at Green River College, but you need to let us know so we can give you the support, advice, and guidance you need to make sure you are successful and growing in your time here. As we have discussed, college is much different than the high school. It is very important that families understand that this is a college environment, and while there is a lot of support, the student is in control of their education. Students must have self-management skills. They need to be able to work independently, navigate dates and deadlines, and manage their responsibilities. There isn't any hand-holding here. In a classroom with students who could be twice their age, students need to be respectful and mature. Students will also need to learn how to advocate for themselves and reach out for help before it is too late. The role of the parent guardian is much different at the college. While we welcome parents and guardians working in collaboration with the student, everything needs to be initiated by the student. Students are responsible for communicating with instructors, advisors, and high school counselors. They are responsible for making and keeping their appointments and are at the center of their own education here. As we talked about earlier, FERPA is legally binding. If the FERPA paperwork is not filled out, we are limited in the conversations we can have with parents or guardians regarding a student and their education. As for the support from a high school counselor and Running Start advisor, there are some differences. Running Start advisors are here to assist with course planning, transfer planning, and navigating the college system as a whole. But we do not register students, as that is the responsibility of the student. And yes, we are here to help and support students to the best of our ability, but unlike the counselors at the high school level, we are not trained in mental health practices or personal counseling. Utilizing the Running Start advising support is crucial in a student's success here at Green River. We recommend that students come see their advisor within the first 2 quarters in the Running Start program to ensure as much success as possible. Our Running Start advising team assists students in co-creating educational plans based on goals and high school grad requirements. English 101 may be the only requirement for eligibility, but we recommend obtaining math placement early. Math placement helps with getting into math and science courses needed for various degrees. It is also important to note that you can place in a college level math through your high school transcript if you are earning a B or better in your math class. Advisors do also assist with the transfer process. Courses usually transfer well between colleges in and out of the state. But it is very important to note that advising is up to the student to initiate. So we do advise that students come in as soon as possible so that we can help them through the process. I will now be passing over to my colleague Kyle to continue the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Kendall, and hello, everybody. So let's talk a little bit about the academic standards policies here at Green River College, because these policies are important and they would stay with students and can impact their educational goals and opportunities moving forward. As with other policies and procedures, college-wide academic standards do apply to all students. And although we acknowledge that college classes often have a learning curve, and we want to help and support you be successful here, we also want you to recognize that your academic performance here at Green River impacts your eligibility for the Running Start program, for high school graduation, for possible admission to a college or university after Green River, and for financial aid and scholarship eligibility after your time in Running Start is over. Our academic standards policies includes factors like your quarterly and cumulative GPA and your credit completion requirements per quarter and per year. We have a 3-level system for academic standards. Level 1 is caution, level 2 is intervention, and level 3 can result in dismissal. And we don't need to go into the details of each step right now, but again, do remember that there are not special circumstances for Running Start students, just as Running Start students. And so these college-wide policies do apply. And again, we here at the Running Start office are happy and excited to work with you and to help you be successful here at Green River College. But the effort does first and foremost come from the student. Let's continue on and look at the cost of attendance for Running Start students here at Green River College. So each quarter, Running Start students are responsible for paying the following. The first are required fees, and we'll look more at those required fees in a moment. A second aspect of a payment that students are responsible for is the cost of attendance. And so we're looking at course textbooks and relevant supplies, and then transportation to and from campus. Another example of a cost that is not covered by the Running Start program is optional tuition for classes that are beyond the Running Start program. That would include classes taken during the summer, classes that are not for college credit, or classes that go beyond the credit eligibility that you have based on the number of classes that a student is taking at the high school. And once again, financial aid is not available for Running Start students because a high school diploma is required in order to be eligible for financial aid. So again, although the costs for Running Start are significantly lower than for a standard student, there are still financial responsibilities for attending the program. So let's take a look at what this might look like in an average quarter. So let's say that, for example, you're taking 15 credits, English 101 in person, History 137 in a hybrid format, and then Art 114 in person as well. There are two sets of fees that students would be responsible for in this scenario. The first would be what are known as the student voted fees. Student voted fees are fees that students pay across the Green River College system for things like the Recreation Center and the Technology Center. As Green River students, Running Start students are eligible and are encouraged to take advantage of the various places and programs that are supported by these fees. In addition, there are class fees depending and varying between each class. Class fees vary by the class and by the mode of instruction. And these class fees are listed on the Class Finder website, which students will learn more about during the registration process. And so you can look at what your expected class fees would be when you are searching for classes for the upcoming quarter. So these quarterly fees, right, can end up being quite a bit of money. But for many students, there is an additional program that might reduce the cost of attendance further. So let's take a look at that. And this is known as the Fee Waiver and Book Loan Program. There are two significant benefits to our Fee Waiver and Book Loan Program. Benefit number one is that it waives those student voted fees, which means that students are only responsible for paying the class fees. And as we saw on the last screen, the student voted fees are the majority of the quarterly fees that are due. In addition, the Fee Waiver and Book Loan Program gives access to textbooks through the Running Start Lending Library. And as Kendall mentioned earlier, COVID has complicated this process a little bit, but there is access to at least one textbook every quarter through a variety of methods through the Running Start Lending Library. So let's look a little bit more at the eligibility requirements for the Fee Waiver and Book Loan Program. So these eligibility requirements include the following. Being eligible for free or reduced lunch in the public schools in the last 5 years. There's an income eligibility threshold that might apply. If you are receiving public assistance or state aid, you would be eligible for the Fee Waiver and Book Loan Program. Foster youth are eligible for this program, and students who are eligible for the College Bound Scholarship. So if you qualify based on one of these five factors, we strongly encourage you to sign up for the Fee Waiver and Book Loan Program to take advantage of the benefits that it offers. And let's take a look at what some of those benefits might be. So if we're going back to that quarterly cost scenario from an earlier slide, we have our 15 credits, 2 classes in person, 1 class is a hybrid class. The fee waiver and book loan program, once again, waives the fees that are student voted. So in this example, of the total cost of $228, $184.50 would be waived, leaving the remaining balance to you for the quarter of $43.50. So this would be an example if a student was enrolled full-time at Green River, taking what we would call a full load of 15 credits. And the math on this is a savings in this example of about 80% of the cost of the quarterly fees. So if a student was taking a full load each quarter over the course of 6 quarters, based on this example, we're talking about a savings of over $1,000. And in some cases, it could be even more. So again, if you are eligible for the program, we strongly encourage you to apply. And more information about this, this program would come up in the info sessions later on. So let's take a look at the steps to applying at Green River College. So first and foremost, what we need you to do is apply to Green River College online. After you complete the online application, you will be asked to activate the student email address. And again, the student email address is the official mode of communication for the different offices and for faculty here at Green River College. So it's important to activate this email, and it's important for students once they're enrolled to check it regularly. After you've activated the student email, complete the online orientation, which contains a variety of information relevant to new students at Green River College. When you go to the online orientation, be sure to watch the orientation that is specifically for Running Start students. There is information specific to Running Start and the program and the requirements more generally that we really want to make sure that you're taking a look at. So please be sure to complete the Running Start online orientation. The second step is determining your eligibility for English 101. As Kendall said earlier, that is a firm requirement for getting into Running Start. You need to be eligible to take English 101. And there are 2 ways primarily that we determine that eligibility. The first would be based on your Smarter Balanced Assessment scores, so standardized testing, scoring a 3 or a 4. The other option is taking what's known as the College Success Assessment through Green River's Assessment and Testing Center. And this is a test that you can prepare for ahead of time. There's no cost to the student for taking the test, and this test will then give an indication of whether or not a student is eligible for English 101. So after we've determined the eligibility for English 101, there are still a couple more steps. And the next step is to complete and email the Running Start enrollment packet to runningstart@greenriver.edu. This enrollment packet lays out a series of forms that you need to follow. Some things are mandatory, some things are encouraged, and that information is clearly listed in the packet. One thing that is mandatory, though, is after you complete your Running Start enrollment packet, you do need to sign up for a mandatory group registration session known as a RAP session, either in person or virtually, depending on COVID. And in the RAP session, Green River's advisors, Running Start advisors, will go into more detail on everything that you need to know to be prepared for starting at Green River in the following quarter. And so on the next slide, let's just take a look at the timeline for registration for the 2021-2022 school year. So submitting the enrollment packet, we encourage students and families to submit these packets as early as possible. The sooner you submit that enrollment packet, the sooner we can get you into a RAP session, the sooner you are able to register for classes when registration opens. So as we can see on the table on the screen, submit those enrollment packets. You can do that several months before the quarter begins. And it's important to do that because registration also opens for the following quarter, a few months before that quarter begins. And then we have at the bottom of the table, the first day of the term for next year. So fall quarter will start on September 20th, 2021. Winter quarter will start on January 3rd, 2022, and spring quarter will start April 4th, 2022. And again, as Kendall mentioned earlier, these dates are important to note, not just for knowing when the school year starts, but for those of you planning trips or balancing different calendars between school districts and Running Start and things of that nature. It's important to know when the first day of class is, because it is the expectation that Running Start students are in class and ready to go on the first day of the quarter. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this orientation, this information session. There are several ways that you can get in contact with us if you have questions or concerns. Our website is greenriver.edu/Running Start. The email address for the Running Start office is runningstart@greenriver.edu. When we are all back on campus, you can find us in the Student Affairs building on the first floor. The email that you see on the screen is the general email for the Running Start office. And again, we are on social media. Follow us at Green River Running Start on Instagram, like us at Green River Running Start on Facebook. On behalf of Kendall and myself, Kyle, we'd like to thank you once again for watching this information session. Please reach out with any questions. Have a wonderful day.